everybody. I'd like to bring the meeting to order and ask that roll be called, please.
Here.
Here. Here.
Here. Here.
Here.
Thank you. If we could all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I just wanted to take a moment of personal privilege and offer my heartfelt apology to our board secretary for what I said at the last meeting. It appeared that I was blaming her for information not getting out, and nothing could be further from the truth. Renata does a fantastic job for our district. She always has been, and this has been no exception. She provided the information as soon as she had it. It was not her fault that it was late getting to her. So I apologize, and thank you so much for all you do. I'm very, very sorry. At this time, we'll move on to the public participation portion of the meeting. If there's anybody who wishes to address the board, I know many of you have already signed in. If there's anybody else who would like to address the board, please come up and sign in. I would remind you of our policies and our process. Per board policy 2230, we ask that when addressing the board, please identify yourself and be brief. Comments shall be limited to 5 minutes. The speaker is asked to please conduct oneself with respect and civility towards others. Individuals less than 18 years of age are permitted to address the board if accompanied by his or her parent or guardian. The board typically does not engage in two-way conversations during the public portion of the meeting. Any follow-up response will be addressed by the administration at a later date. To be respectful of others and to protect confidentiality, complaints against individual students, staff members, or board members, either named or unnamed, shall not be orally presented to the Board of Education. Such complaints should be put in writing, signed by the person or persons making the charges, and delivered to the Board of Education secretary. At this time, we have our first person ready to address the board. If you could please speak into the microphone and state your name and the topic that you will be addressing.
Good morning. My name is John Allison and I am a teacher in the district. I am here today to ask a simple question. My question is in regards to agenda items from the previous meeting. Many people were upset that the items in regards to naming an interim and a permanent superintendent were added at the last minute. But my question is, why weren't they on the agenda to begin with? Did this body not realize that you would need to name an interim superintendent until this past Monday? Did this body not discuss the possibility of needing to employ an interim superintendent before, or at least during the closed session of the meeting on November 21st? You had to have known there was a strong possibility of needing an interim superintendent, since a statement was read before the vote on November 21st that included the words, "if and when the motion passes." You don't use the word "when" if you aren't 100% sure the motion is going to pass. Honestly, I don't know if I want to have this question answered. If this body did not realize they would need to name an interim, then that demonstrates incompetence. The only other reason that I can think of for not having those items on the agenda when it was first published is that members of this body had already made a decision about who the interim superintendent would be. Since only 4 votes would be needed to employ that person, maybe you thought there was no need to have a public discussion on it. Unfortunately, you were wrong in thinking that the community would not notice or not care what you were doing. I mean, why else would you schedule an important meeting in a small room, not once, but twice? Later this morning, you will adjourn to closed session. I hope that you do not come out of closed session and name an interim superintendent. By doing so, you would be telling not only the teachers, support staff, and administrators, but also the tax-paying members of the community that you don't care what our thoughts or opinions are. Is that a message you want to send right now? I don't think so. You are supposed to represent all of the members of the community, not just those who think like you and not just yourself. In order to represent them, you first have to listen to them. Right now, they are saying that they don't trust this body in making the decision on leadership for this district. I hope you have heard them.
Hi, I'm Sean Scranton. I live at 1635 Meadowview. And there's one reason why our family lives in this district, and that is for the schools. When we moved in 1994, we wanted to make sure that our kids had the best education in this area, and we knew we'd find that in Dunlap. Now, I'm usually a quiet citizen. I go to work, I pay my taxes. However, when I see what has transpired with this board over the past few months, I feel that I must be more vocal. I'm a member of a few boards in this community, and although I'm no expert on boards, it doesn't take an expert to see that this board is dysfunctional. I think anyone can see the conflicting agendas, lack of respect, non-participating members, hostile environment, lack of trust, and personal agendas that are in this current board. At their core, board members should act with the duties of care, loyalty, and obedience. Care in that they must use reasonable care in making decisions, loyalty in that they must act in the best interest of the district, and obedience in that they must be faithful to the mission of the district. I find these terribly lacking in some members of this current board. As the board considers decisions, they only need to look past your tables to the audience, because believe me, we are looking at you. We watch your body language. We watch the petty arguments. We are embarrassed by the interactions of this board. We hired you to represent the community. You are not holding up the high standards that are expected by the voters in this district. Now, recently, a petition has been circulating calling for the reinstatement of Lisa Parker. This petition has so far gathered close to 1,000 votes. In the April election this year, a board member was elected with only 1,390 votes. As you look past your tables, see the number of people here? See the bewilderment, confusion, and mostly anger? This is not a happy crowd. This is a torches and pitchforks crowd. I would submit that, given the recent press, another petition may be held at Grand Prairie during the upcoming busiest shopping days of the year would garner far more signatures. I hope this is not falling on deaf ears. I hope at least some of you are listening. Also know that I'm not coming to you with just problems. I have a solution that will save the district money. During the last search for superintendent, the district spent $18,000 to search for a new superintendent, and as a result of that search, the board voted 6-0 to hire the interim Lisa Parker, a superintendent that epitomizes all that Dunlap represents. Apparently, it only takes 4 of you to make a bad decision, but fortunately, it only takes 4 of you to make an excellent decision. Please reinstate Lisa Parker.
Hi, my name is Emma Windsor, and I'm sorry for my attire. I have a Madrigals performance after this. I am a senior at Dunlap High School. I have attended Dunlap schools my whole life. Dunlap High School has had some awesome accomplishments in the past few months, but I feel it is being overshadowed by recent events at school board meetings. As drum major for the Marching Eagles and Magical Queen, my teachers, Mr. Shea, Miss Potts, and Miss Reese expect me to lead with integrity and honesty. They hold me to the highest standards and expect me to collaborate with my peers and respect them. As students, we look to the adults in our lives to do the same and make decisions that are in the best interest of us. I am here to ask you to consider the needs of all Dunlap students as you move forward, making decisions that will affect our school district. As the district's governing body, please put aside personal agendas and listen to the students, teachers, parents, and taxpayers of the Dunlap School District. I have had wonderful teachers at Dunlap. Please listen to them as you make decisions. Treat each other with respect and work as a team so you can be effective leaders. Just as my teachers set high standards for me, I am asking you to set high standards for yourselves and listen to the stakeholders as you make decisions for the students of Dunlap. In closing, I would like to thank Dr. Parker for always being there for the students of Dunlap. I have always felt that we, the students of Dunlap, have been your top priority. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lisa Pierce. I am a lifelong resident of this community. I am a former student at Dunlap Grade School, Pioneer Junior High School, and a graduate of Dunlap High School. And I now have 3 children in the district. And I am here today to discuss my concerns with the board and to present the online petition that has been circulating for the last 36 hours. I would like to start by thanking the members that serve on the board. I know we have current board members who have a high degree of integrity, who are very much supportive of the community, of the faculty, and of the students. We appreciate you as minority board members for making decisions, standing up for what you believe in, and doing best to service the stakeholders of this community. When I think of a good leader, 2 things come to mind: outcomes and relationships. The district clearly has documented educational performance outcomes that are consistent with the highest performing schools in the state. And the relationships that have been built and sustained between Dr. Parker and her faculty have clearly been unlike that of most superintendents and have been well represented at the previous 2 board meetings by personal testimonies from the teachers in our district. As someone with leadership experience, I recognize that not all the facts can always be shared with the public regarding employment agreements and surrounding separation agreements. But without any information or justification from this board, we as community members are left to make decisions with the facts that we have at hand and the behavior of this board. I have to ask myself, why would a high-performing district with a superintendent who has formed such meaningful relationships with her faculty have board members vote to terminate her? With a split vote of 4-3, I cannot reach a conclusion that Dr. Parker wanted to leave on her own accord, as I can't find a plausible reason why 3 board members would vote no to that. I also cannot come to the conclusion that she was voted out on the basis of an egregious performance or behavior issue, because again, I cannot justify that 3 members of this board would vote no. While none of us Furthermore, less than 1 year ago, these board members had voted 7-0 with a unanimous decision to extend her contract. To my knowledge, only one thing has changed in that time period. While none of us in this audience are disillusioned enough to think that this petition alone will result in reinstating Dr. Parker, nor do we expect that she may even want to continue to stay in a district that voted her out. This is time for you to take a moment and reflect on the voice of your community and your intentions as a board member, as well as what you are capable, whether or not you are capable of continuing to function as a representative of this district. We have elected you to the school board to represent us, and 900 people have signed a petition in 36 hours that say that you have failed. Since the appearances that some board members have formed an alliance, voting together on personal agendas, tit for tat, it appears that they may be servicing themselves rather than the students, teachers, and taxpayers of this district. Moving forward, we have expectations for you as elected officials to this board. We expect you to follow the proper procedures outlined in Robert's Rules for conducting a board meeting. The purpose of these rules is to provide structure to communicate and conduct a meeting in a democratic, orderly, and expeditious manner, rather than a haphazard approach that creates confusion and chaos. This is a basic requirement of being part of any board, let alone a board that represents 4,463 students in this district. We expect you to follow a protocol for business operations of your board for communication and when conducting a meeting, including implementing a required 48-hour time frame for making an addendum to a board meeting agenda, particularly a board meeting that has controversial agenda items. If you currently do not have these outlined written protocols, we expect you to draft them for approval. We expect you to follow proper procedures for posting changes to the agenda on the district website, and that you have the courtesy to disseminate communications to your board members and key stakeholders via email and not on social media. Facebook is not a platform for disseminating official information of this board. I myself have never had a Facebook account. I have never had a Facebook account, and your actions have resulted in the deliberate exclusion of community and district stakeholders in important and timely communication. We expect that when you make a mistake or that you demonstrate a lack in judgment, as we all do from time to time, that you will take personal accountability for your actions and that you do not resort to behaviors such as finger pointing, blaming, covering your tail, ignoring, denying, playing dumb, or stating it's not my problem. These behaviors which are based on a leadership book I strongly recommend you read called The Oz Principle, prohibit you from ever moving forward towards results in your environment. Board members are expected to exemplify accountability. We expect you to demonstrate professionalism when you conduct a board meeting, including mutual respect, and refrain from behaviors that have been visible on taped video board meetings during interactions with stakeholders and other board members, such as eye-rolling and snickering. Please refer to item number 6 in the Illinois Association of School Boards Code of Conduct. We expect that when you make decisions on this board, you are making these decisions free from bias and based on the benefit of the district as a whole. Please refer to number 2 of the IASB Code of Conduct. We expect that when you make a decision, particularly a decision as substantial as voting out the most beloved senior administrator of this district, that you engage the voice of your stakeholders, that you as a board develop a plan prior to making the decision, and not during a discussion at a board meeting in front of your stakeholders without being remotely prepared to discuss the necessary process, options, or expenses of hiring a consulting firm, an interim, and permanent replacing the superintendent. Perhaps had you given enough notice to your board members, they could have come to that meeting prepared to have that discussion. We expect that when you make decisions, you take the time to think through the timing, the consequences, and the unanticipated consequences of decisions, such as downstream effects to students, the negative impact among administrators, the satisfaction and morale among your faculty, and the negative media coverage surrounding our district. If any of you feel that you cannot meet these expectations, please feel free to resign from your position on the board. Your agenda items last week included millions of dollars of expansion of the district. You discussed classroom and school capacity, though some board members are unfamiliar what capacity means, and the safety of the students in PE classes. You are unprepared to make decisions regarding this at this time. Your priority is to replace the superintendent of this district. You are on a 4-week timeline until her absence is going to impact this district. This is not the time to be making crucial decisions regarding the finances of our district. And if that was not thought through before the board meeting to vote Lisa Parker out, then that is a travesty. In summary, you have lost the trust of the community regarding your ability to function as an unbiased board, who has been entrusted to uphold the best interest of the students and the faculty. The integrity of your board has not only been questioned by stakeholders, it's being questioned among yourselves as board members. The students, faculty, and stakeholders represented on the preliminary 900 signatures on this petition strongly urge you to thoughtfully reconsider your intent and your position on this board. as well as to make a motion today not to hire a consulting firm, but to revote on the decision to remove Dr. Parker from her position. When you were sworn in as a board member, you promised, "I shall respect taxpayer interest by serving as a faithful protector of the school district's assets." I cannot think of a bigger asset to this district than Dr. Lisa Parker.
I am Angie Connor, and I am a taxpayer as well as a teacher in the district. As I mentioned last Tuesday, I'm very concerned with the direction of the district. One of my major concerns is a decision of this magnitude can take place when most stakeholders are against the issue, that this can take place on a split vote. Had the vote gone in favor of the district, for the best interest of the district, I would have been happy. Still not right. As we move forward, we would like to see the board take a look at their bylaws and change them to reflect a more conclusive decision. I know everyone will not always agree, but a split vote for such an important decision is unacceptable. Thank you.
My name is Mary Nelson. I reside in the district. However, I am reading this for someone else. Good morning. I would like to be in attendance today, but I am sitting at a swim meet in Normal, Illinois. I have asked Mary Nelson to read this statement on my behalf. My name is Rebecca Hansen, and I live at 2605 West Carrington Court in the Windcrest subdivision. I am a former employee of the Dunlap School District, but I stand here this morning in a more important role, that of a taxpayer and a parent. I have 3 children, 2 who attend Dunlap Middle School and 1 at Hickory Grove. My husband and I have tried to instill in our children that if they feel something is unjust or unacceptable, they should do whatever they can to address the situation. In honor of my children, I have asked Mary to read the following. To say I am appalled by the events and behavior in recent weeks is a vast understatement. There are no words that aptly describe my disappointment at what I have witnessed and have had to explain. When Lily, Owen, and Brett learned that Dr. Parker would no longer be the superintendent of this school district, their first response was a gasp, followed by, "Why?" I was very honest, and I told them, I have no idea. The mere fact that in a district this size, my children are even aware of and know who Dr. Parker is and are saddened that she will no longer be part of this district shows just how much her presence means and is further testimony to her character as a leader. To attend a follow-up meeting in which yet another hardworking, highly respected individual was blamed in what I consider to be a cover-up for personal decisions and actions is very unacceptable. I have the current privilege to work in another progressive, high-performing school district. Ironically, at my November board meeting, speaking on finances, my board president, a graduate of Dunlap High School, made the following statement. A school board's job is to hire the experts who understand education and trust those we choose to hire. It is not our job to micromanage. I'd like to repeat, it is not the board's job to micromanage. It is the board's job to trust the experts. As I have learned in my 4 short years as a school leader, a foundation built on trust and respect is vital to the health of any organization. Unfortunately, right now this foundation of trust and respect is lacking in the district I have entrusted my children to. I, as a taxpayer, cannot trust this board to be my voice. This has been proven repeatedly in past months, let alone past weeks. Why now? And why Dr. Parker? When we went through this process several years ago, the superintendent's contract at that time was terminated immediately. If whatever happened warrants Dr. Parker's dismissal, why are we waiting a month? If we are waiting a month, why can we not wait 6 when there would be time to plan ahead and create a smooth transition? Is all of this really worth having our district cast in such a negative manner? To Mrs. Bozeman, Mrs. Bluth, and Mrs. Holzhauser, I want to say thank you. Thank you for standing up and being a voice for the injustice that is occurring on so many levels. I can only imagine how difficult this must be, but I beg you to continue for the students of this district. To my friends and former colleagues that continue to hold this district together despite the turmoil, I thank you and I admire you. Your efforts to keep this district going are noticed and genuinely appreciated. When I contacted the Regional Office of Education last Wednesday to voice my displeasure and frustrations at the current situation, our regional superintendent told me that I was not alone. Find comfort that the people in this community care and are fighting for you on the behalf of our children. To Dr. Parker, I would like to say you deserve so much better than what I have witnessed in recent weeks. I wish you well in whatever your next adventure may be. Any district will be lucky to have you. Finally, to the entire school board, I leave you with the following quote by Dwight D. Eisenhower. The supreme quality for leadership is unquestionably integrity. Without it, no real success is possible. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Lauren Scranton. I'm a 2005 graduate of Dunlap High School, and this is my 8th year teaching in the district. One of the reasons that I came back to Dunlap after college was because for my entire life, my parents told me how lucky I was to go to Dunlap, that I was getting the best education available to me. And it was one of those things that doesn't really sink in until later when you realize your parents actually do know things. That was for me when I was in college, when because of 2 incredible English teachers I had at Dunlap, Linda Wood and Michelle Siver, I was able to run a paper editing business out of my dorm room. And I was very lucky to have been educated and now to work in a district where not only the teachers and the administrators, but the community members are so incredibly invested in our schools. That is, of course, why we're all here today. We are a very unique district because we are a community of educators and people who are highly, highly invested in education. As such, we are not people who forget our history. We are people who learn from it. And what we have learned from our previous struggles 3 years ago is that it takes a very special person to lead this district. We learned from what happened with our previous superintendent that you cannot just bring in the person with the flashiest, shiniest resume to be our leader. We need a true leader, someone who knows our district, who understands our unique challenges and the ways in which we best achieve the success that we have enjoyed for the last few decades. We need a leader who, in the face of financial difficulties, runs our administrative offices on a shoestring budget so that all available money goes into programs and classrooms that benefit students. We need a leader who is present in our buildings, in our classrooms, at our extracurricular events, and who engages with our students. We need a leader who, in the times of great stress and turmoil, models the behavior we expect from our students, something I think we can all agree Dr. Parker has done with incredible grace these last few weeks. We need a leader our students and staff recognize in the halls, who knows them, can call them by name. We need a leader who values relationships just as much as reports, who puts our students first, above all pet projects, our personal opinions and agendas. 3 years ago, we recognized such a leader in Dr. Lisa Parker, and because she stepped up, we were able to rebuild the trust and the morale that was lost during those hard times. That will not be as easy with someone who does not know our community and our history like she does. There are not a lot of leaders out there like Dr. Parker. I could see that even when I was in high school and she was my principal. I hope this board understands the challenge that is in front of you in trying to replace her. We as a community will settle for nothing less than a leader like the one who sadly has to leave us, and that is down to you. That is your responsibility due to your choices. I hope you're up to the challenge. And to Dr. Parker and all the teachers that I had during my years at Dunlap, I say thank you for what you have done for our community and for me. Thank you.
Hi there, my name's Nicole Lozier. I have my story here on my phone, so I apologize. I just wanted to share a quick story about something that happened to me earlier this week. Thursday after work, I went to Hy-Vee like I've done many times after work, around 3:45, run my errands before I get home. And I walked into Hy-Vee, I was grabbing some bread. Someone said, "Wow, what's going on in Dunlap?" And I kind of turned around and I'm like, I don't know this person. Well, I had my lanyard on and my Dunlap shirt. And they said, "Why did you fire your superintendent?" Obviously, I was taken back until I figured out I had my shirt on. I didn't really know what to say. I had no idea what to say. I said, I don't know what to say. It's just really news. So I smiled and continued on. And a few minutes later, another woman says, "Oh, Dunlap, man, you guys are as bad as 150. I mean, no disrespect for 150, but never has Dunlap been compared to any other school district, especially 150. We are our own district. Never before have I had to question whether or not I should wear my lanyard into a store, other than being proud of it. And now I have to answer questions that I have absolutely no answers to. I want to support my district. I want to be proud of my district, but my only true answer in my heart is kind of negative. I don't know. There were 4 people that voted her off, and if you've watched the news, there's millions behind her. That's all I have to say. And it's sad that these decisions are affecting so many people. Like I said, never before have I given a second thought to whether I should wear my Dunlap gear out in public to avoid questions that myself and my community have no answers to. So I hope you take into consideration all the things that the people before us have said, and consider your decision to reinstate Dr. Parker.
Good morning. My name is Amy George and I am co-president of the Dunlap Education Association. I began my career at Pioneer Junior High School and I have been teaching at Dunlap High School for 11 years. As has been mentioned many times before, the last time our district was in need of a new superintendent, we were not in a healthy place. As parents and community stakeholders, I and several of you accepted the invitation to give input into the search process. Do you remember how that time felt? We felt like district administration had not been transparent and we were caught by surprise. Stakeholders demanded change and vowed to be more involved and active in our school district. In fact, some of you were community and school leaders of that movement and were elected to the Board of Education. We knew things were not right at that time, and we wanted to be sure the community would not be caught by surprise again. And here we are, caught by surprise again. This process again has become very emotional. And why? People are emotional when meetings that are critical to our future seem to be poorly planned out and poorly planned. People are emotional when they are uncertain and feel like there is no sense of direction or security. As teachers, we are the ones showing up every day. We are committed to our jobs and to our students, and we're going to keep showing up day in and day out, regardless of the uncertainty and the chaos around us. Just as I truly believe that you do not want an adversarial relationship with one another, we do not want to have a challenging relationship with you. We want what's best for our students, and you are the ultimate decision makers in how that happens. We are going to hold you accountable for your actions and question your decisions. We want you to hold us accountable as well for giving our children the best education possible. The best way to do that is through trust and collaboration. It is incredibly frustrating to sit month after month after month and hear board members reference information about our curriculums, programs, and learning environment that is not accurate or is incomplete. We need to be able to trust you to make informed decisions, and that means knowing what it is we do and the conditions under which we do it. Trust comes from clear and ongoing communication. If we are going to move forward together in a positive direction, that has got to be a priority. Trust comes from being heard and feeling that people's opinions are valid even if you don't agree. Finally, trust comes from the assurance that our priority in everything we do is for the betterment of our students. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Shauna Segler. I am the co-president of the Dunlap Education Association. I have been a teacher in the district for 16 years, and I'm currently teaching at Dunlap Middle School. Throughout my years in Dunlap, I have seen several administrative changes. I remember the highs and lows, and we have really had some lows. It has been so refreshing to watch those low times fade in the rearview mirror. We are a strong staff, and we have bounced back from those times like the champions that we are. Overall, we were experiencing smooth sailing with just a few waves along the way until recently. I've been around long enough to understand that sometimes people need to part ways. That is life. However, there is that old saying that says, timing is everything, and I could not agree more with that sentiment. Since the first meeting on November 21st, the timing of this decision has been poor. The meeting to vote on whether or not to keep the superintendent was scheduled less than 2 days before Thanksgiving. Many of your teachers had travel plans that could not be altered on such short notice, so they were unable to attend the meeting that would have a great impact on their daily lives. Let's not forget about the other monumental event that week. Our Dunlap Eagles football team was playing for the state championship. What an amazing accomplishment of those players and coaches, and that should have been the media's sole focus on Dunlap that week. Today we are at yet another meeting that many of your stakeholders are not able to attend. The meeting was announced just in the nick of that 48-hour mandatory timeline. As for conflicting events, I honestly believe it would be easier to try to make a list of the clubs, teams, and groups that don't have an event occurring right now. While the time crunch you are in is understood, you are in control of setting the time frame of these events. One would assume that if such a drastic action was necessary mid-year, you would surely have had a well-thought-out plan for filling the most important leadership position in our district. It was apparent at Tuesday's meeting that was not the case. Speaking of timing, the urgency of the need to replace the superintendent is difficult to understand with a 4-3 split decision to vote. The impact this urgent action would have on our students does not appear to have been your concern. This has been and will continue to be a disruption to the educational process for the students of Dunlap. I sincerely hope that financial implications of this timely process will not impact the funds needed to provide the quality of education our students deserve in Dunlap. On Tuesday, we listened as the proposals for the middle school expansion were presented. There was some doubt as to whether or not 9 classrooms were really needed at one time. Questions were raised about the projected enrollment, and there seemed to be hesitation to accept the figures and data being presented. It is difficult to see that hesitation to spend money on our greatest asset, our students, when this superintendent ordeal is going to unnecessarily cost our district a great deal of money. The district The district has a long-standing 15-year relationship with a highly competent lawyer. However, the board felt that need to spend more money on additional legal counsel. The hiring of this additional counsel was also done on a 4-3 vote. The board has agreed to a severance package for the outgoing superintendent, and the interim superintendent will also need to be paid. Don't forget that money that it will cost to conduct a search to find a candidate worthy of leading a district with such amazing students and staff. While you, our elected Board of Education, continue to try to figure out your mess, parents can rest assured that their children are well taken care of. After all, they have us, the dedicated teachers of your district, to ensure that their educational and social emotional needs are going to be met. We will keep our focus where it should always be, on the kids.
Good morning. My name is Sylvia Davis and I have 3 boys in Dunlap, an 8th grader, 9th grader, and a senior. While we have lived in the Dunlap district for 13 years, we've only been in Dunlap for 5. As you see, I had my boys in private school and I thought that that was the best. And I've just have been shown wrong because in the last couple of years, I've just fell in love with Dunlap and in love with Dr. Parker, and it all comes because of her great leadership. I never thought that I would get involved with the school district. I was just happy paying our taxes and just going through life, raising our children. But my children have gotten involved so much at the schools that they even know Dr. Parker, and I've just been so impressed because she's had these meetings where they have the breakfast and my children play music with them, and she actually takes the time to know the children and know my children, and because of them, I know Dr. Parker. In the 9 years that we paid outside of the district to go to private schools, I never got involved. She's an amazing leader. She works for her students and she serves her principals and teachers. And I am so impressed how the faculty strives for excellence, and all this comes from great leadership from Dr. Parker. I'm very nervous, as you can see, because I've never thought I would get involved, but I will continue to come to these meetings because they are very important, as I can see from the last couple of weeks. I voted for the board for progress and not for this dysfunction. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Lindsay Enley. I'm a teacher in the district. First and foremost, I would like to say thank you to Dr. Parker, not only for your kindness, your hard work, and how much you've cared about us, our students, our families, and community. But most of all, I want to thank you for being the light that helped us to overcome what was a tumultuous, chaotic, and heartbreaking time for our district 4 years ago. Under your leadership, our district has thrived. I think this notion in itself, the notion that our district has improved so greatly while you have served as our superintendent, and the notion that as of December 31st, you are no longer our superintendent, is what leaves most of us baffled, confused, and for me personally, devastated. I feel as if we are mourning a loss of someone great. The most natural question that would follow any loss is the question of why. Why did this happen? How could this happen? If our staff, our students, our parents, and community were flourishing, then what is the justification for Dr. Parker's removal? Without a unanimous vote, it seems that the board was split in deciding for or against this decision. Without a unanimous vote, it seems that there were differing perspectives regarding this decision, and therefore, the justification for it was unclear and could possibly be unfounded according to some. As an educator, there is an expectation of professionalism that I am held to. In fact, all of our teachers are required to go through an evaluation process to justify their professionalism within their building, district, and community. It seems as though a decision on your part to remove our superintendent, a leader whose title is justified through her actions and trust of our community members, in the middle of the school year, leaving our students with no leader, seems to contradict what Dunlap has always stood for. Our kids' best interests come first. I appreciate Dr. Bozeman's efforts to also point out the inappropriateness of using this empty seat as an opportunity to now begin searching for a replacement with someone who is experienced. After all, Dr. Lisa Parker would fit as the best candidate on that list. This past Tuesday, after a breakdown of communication about the board not receiving the agenda prior to the meeting, Dr. Bozeman so eloquently stated that we do not change the norms. That we do not change the norms just to push a new agenda in at 10:30 p.m. at night. This ironically translates just the same to the bigger picture because somewhere along the way, the communication breakdown has stakeholders questioning the board motives to push to leave our district with no real leader. Again, we ask why remove someone from his or her position when so many stakeholders disagree? There are norms. We just do not do that. That is not Dunlap. I drive an hour to and from Dunlap each day with my 1.5-year-old who stays at a daycare close by just so that I can be a part of this amazing district. Do you know that when I tell people this, what question they never ask me? Why? They never ask me why I would travel every day of the week to be here, because that is the reputation that Dunlap has. We are great. We are extraordinary. They do not need a justification because they know. I urge you to keep it that way. We teachers are expected to inspire our students. Dr. Parker inspired us to be the best that we can be. Please reconsider this decision, knowing now, if you did not know already, that the stakeholders you're making decisions for want her back in. Reinstating her would most definitely be justified. Thank you.
So I wasn't prepared to speak, but I felt compelled. I'm Phyllis Brocklin. I teach second grade at Wilder Waite. I was in on the search for our last superintendent, Dr. Parker. I was a building representative for our union, and I went to many meetings, and I was in many of the meetings when we were interviewing our candidates. I sat right next to Mrs. Holzhauser. So we sat there and we did everything that we were supposed to. I went to the meetings with the search firm where many times it was just the board members and me and the people from the search firm. It was boring, but I knew somebody had to be there and I had made a commitment that I would do it. It was a long time. It was a long time. It wasn't 27 days. I urge you for something high stakes that matters to all of us, matters to our district. You cannot ramrod this down our throat. I didn't know another word to use, so I'm sorry if it sounds offensive. My other thing is, why do we do this? Why do we build an airplane while we're flying it? Why do we do this? It's like we lead with our brain, or lead with our forehead and leave our brain behind because we're so focused on what it is that we're trying to accomplish individually. We have a split board, so this tells me there was nothing illegal that Dr. Parker did, there was nothing unethical that she did, but we have 4 agendas, and I'm thinking self-serving because it was not a unanimous vote. When you have a unanimous vote, I feel like I can, at least if I don't like it, I can understand something happened, but I'm not going to know what it is. So I just want to share with you also, with our past superintendent and our past boards that we've had, as educators, and I'm a taxpayer as well, we were very complacent. We would let things happen because they were all happening in the best interest of all of us, and then we come to find out they weren't happening in our best interest. They were happening for many reasons. So we mobilized. We went door to door. We decided as a group, as a DEA, who we would choose for board members. Then we went door to door throughout all of the stakeholders in Dunlap. We handed out flyers, we had conversations, and we said, as educators, the biggest employer in this town, this village, we are recommending these particular people. We put signs in our yards. We beat the pavement. We were vocal. Never again will we be complacent. Boards come and boards go. We live here. We have high stakes here. And for someone who's worked here 24 years, to have her livelihood yanked out from under her for reasons that may be totally self-serving is absolutely reprehensible. You should be ashamed of yourselves. I would ask you, knowing what you know now, since you've put this all out in public and you've heard your community, I hope you've heard your community, if you have the opportunity to go back now and vote again, would one or two of you, I think some of you have got your heels dug in and you're not going to show anybody that you're wrong, that you made a mistake. But I think would one or two of you change your mind and say, we have made the worst decision that we could possibly have made? And would you rectify it? Would you fix it? A leader is not a manager. A manager can shuffle papers, a manager can delegate, a manager can see numbers on spreadsheets. A leader is only a leader if there's people following them. Thank you.
Is there anybody else who wishes to address the board? Thank you.